Welcome. We're so glad that you're here this evening. Tonight, Tisha Brennan and I are going to talk about being healthy, wealthy, and wise in 2023. My name is Amanda Ling. I'm a physical therapist, nutrition specialist, and integrative health coach, and I'm going to be talking about the physical health side of things.
And my name is Tisha Brennan. I am a financial advisor, and I will be talking about the financial side of things.
And when Tish and I sat down to talk a couple months ago, it was really incredible to me how much our physical and our financial health are aligned with each other. And part of that is because both of those things are super basic, hardwired in us for our survival. That we need to have a certain amount of finances in order to get by in life. And we also need to have our physical health. And it's just hardwired inside of us. The other thing is, they're both areas where people get really stuck. We get stuck because there's almost too much information out there for us to sort through to even know what is fact and fiction, what is going to be best for us, what's going to work. And there's also a lot of jargon when it comes to finances and healthcare that sometimes is hard for people to understand if that's not the field that they're in. But lastly, my favorite part is that investing in healthy habits in these areas, and a lot of those healthy habits are really the same. By doing one, you're getting benefit in the other, can really transform your life. And that's what's most exciting to me.
And I really found some great information on the information overload. A 2015 study showed that poor physical fitness went hand in hand with poor financial health. In a survey, over 34% had both issues. And then the amount of information that we're processing is also huge, because we actually process 5 times more information, or 74 gigs of information per day. So it's really hard to process all of that and figure out what's fact and what's fiction.
Or just even to figure out what to have for dinner. Sometimes by that time of day, I just get stuck. So we said a little bit about us. Tisha works with Primerica Financial, and we are here physically at Peak Potential Physiotherapy and Wellness. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about yourself.
Nope, I think we said that. Yep. We're just here to help you guys kind of see the correlation between the two, and how if you're really wanting to be successful in one, it can absolutely help you. Those same habits can help you be successful in both. So there is a quote: the first step to getting somewhere is to decide that you are not going to stay where you want to be. So Chauncey Depew, who was a U.S. Senator in the early 1900s, is credited with saying that. So I think that is absolutely the first step in both, is to decide that something needs to change, right? And then for both, again, tracking what you're already doing is super important. You have to have a starting point to know where you are with your health journey. You have to have a starting point to know where you are with your finances. And then actually both encourage moderation and goal setting. So setting goals, it was just amazing when we sat down and discussed it. It was like, that happens for me too. That happens for me too. So we decided to do this for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, because always just deciding that you're going to make a change and going a little bit deeper to that, why you want to make that change. If it's a financial goal, I'm sure some people come to you for retirement purposes, or because they want to buy a house, or certain goals that they have. And people come to me because they have a health goal in terms of, it might be a cardiovascular disease, it could be an autoimmune disease, it could be issues with high blood pressure or high blood sugars. It could just be wanting to lose weight because they want to feel better in their body or be able to be healthy and strong for their kids. But a decided mind is really where you have to start when it comes to making healthy habits. When it comes to health, things that people track, it might be their food, if nutrition is something that they set goals for. It might be their fitness habits. It could be something as simple as tracking the amount of water that they drink. It's amazing to me when someone starts drinking more water, how much that one change can significantly impact their health. But we usually think we're doing okay. People are like, well, I don't think I do too bad. But when you actually put it on paper, and I don't know what it is in finances.
No, that's exactly the same thing.
When we report, so if I sit down with somebody and they report what they ate and how much they exercised in the previous week, we very much overestimate, not on purpose, but just in our mind, we feel that we did more than maybe we did. And oftentimes we forget half of the things that we maybe mindlessly ate. I know for moms, it's usually, well, I ate those 2 chicken nuggets that my kids didn't finish and that handful of goldfish. And those little things can really, add up over time. If you sneak, a couple extra celery stalks or broccoli or olives or something, you're probably going to be all right. But it's usually the comfort foods that we kind of just put in unknowingly. And unless we're actually writing that down, we really don't remember very well. But we can use that, and also tracking, oftentimes people will also track things from their physician. So it could be blood pressure, it could be blood sugars. If somebody has a weight loss goal, it could be body weight and measurements. But just knowing where they are and where they're starting is how we're going to be able to set goals to where we want to be. And I think it's really important as we assess where we are in our physical and financial health to really get very clear about what it is that we want to see at the end. Because if we don't have a clear picture about what that is going to be, those of us who are going to help you get there can't as easily do that if we don't know exactly where you want to be and where you want to go.
I tell my clients all the time to start with the end in mind. I have the exact same thing though. We always underestimate the amount of money we spend at Starbucks. We do. We always underestimate. I don't go that often. But when I have my clients track 3 months, just download your bank statement and let's see where the money's really going. It is always eye-opening. But from there, that's exactly what we
scary.
do. Yeah, that's exactly what we do too, is we have to figure out where do you want to be. Because we can't help you get there if you don't know where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So then, after we look at where you want to be, we need to kind of go back and clean things up a little bit where we found gaps, where we found places that you were struggling. Maybe it was the water. Maybe it's like, yeah, I feel like I drink a lot of water, but really it's only, about 20 ounces a day, and I really need to be drinking 80 ounces a day. That's when we can go back and clean up and figure out what steps we need to take to get to where we want to go.
So that's the same thing for us, is we assess, like, what is the area? Maybe the trouble area is not Starbucks. Maybe the trouble area is we don't have an emergency fund. And so we need to figure out how to take some of the money we were spending on maybe things we shouldn't have been to fund that. A lot of times that's the first step I take with people, is to identify funds that they're already spending that could be better allocated for them to reach their goals.
And for when it comes to your health, it's really going and finding, if this is where you are, if you write down, I usually just do a 3-day food diary with people if we're looking at nutrition. I'm not a big fan of calorie counting and keeping track of, months and months and months of putting everything that you eat in your phone. I just don't really know that that's a super healthy habit for any of us. But just 3 days every once in a while to kind of see where you are, is then we can go back and we can say, okay, where are the gaps? Where are we maybe missing the mark? And what small things can we do? Because it's really hard to make a complete overhaul. I'm sure you can't be like, okay, well, you can't spend any money this month. There has to be some place in the middle. And I like to say that small hinges swing big doors. So if we find the small things that are going to make the biggest impact in order to get you the next step towards the goal where you want to be, those are going to be the things that are going to be the best investment of your time and energy. finding those little, and again, it could be, when it comes to your health, it could be something as simple as, going to bed. It's not easy. Going to bed 30 minutes early. I say simple. Simple doesn't mean easy. Sometimes simple is really, really hard to actually do, but it's not complicated. It might be going to bed 30 minutes earlier. It might be drinking more water. It might be packing your lunch. A lot of people are, eat out lunch every day, and by packing your lunch, you might be able to make healthier choices.
Which is a super easy one to correlate, because if you're packing your lunch, you're saving money. Mm-hmm. So you're eating healthier and you're saving money. They just go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, when it comes to non-negotiables, it might be something like, I'm only going to eat out once a week, and that's not negotiable. It's not every day you get up and you're like, well, am I going to pack my lunch today, or am I going to eat out? It's like, no, that it's non-negotiable. I'm not going to negotiate. I'm not going to spend the time and the mental energy, because we know we only have so much of that to spend in a day. And I'm not going to spend that time negotiating with myself on things that have already been decided.
For me, on my health journey, my non-negotiable was how many times a week I was going to work out. And I would catch myself, it's raining today, like I could skip and do tomorrow. But then when I made that decision to make it non-negotiable, it didn't matter what was going on. It had to happen on this day. I'm only doing it, now I do it 5 days a week. But at the time, I was only doing 3 days a week. So I couldn't afford to miss one. So that was my non-negotiable there. In the finance side, your non-negotiable might be that you don't pull out of your emergency fund for anything that is a want versus a need. Or it might be that you're going to do your company match in your 401k and figure out how to make that work with your budget. So you have to decide what are your non-negotiables, and we build around that.
And then taking action. So the last one on there, I think, kind of goes into the taking action, because oftentimes we need some help and support along the way. None of these things, like I said, oftentimes they're simple, but they're not necessarily easy. Sometimes it's really hard to get ourselves out of habits that we've established and start healthy habits. And oftentimes having someone help you along the way, that could be an exercise buddy, that could be a friend that you swap meal prep recipes with, or it could be a professional that helps you set up your plan and put it into action.
So with nutrition, do you set up a plan where they are trying to eat? How does that work for you when you're setting up a nutrition plan for somebody?
Mm-hmm. So the habits that I focus on as an integrative health coach are movement, meals, mindset, and metabolism. So meals are a part of that. Nutrition isn't the only thing that plays into your healthy habits. A lot of times when people think physical health, they think diet, because that's like the most obvious thing. Like most of us eat 3 meals a day, and so we're thinking about that quite frequently. But there are a lot of other things that play into good physical health outside of nutrition. When it comes to planning nutrition and setting goals, I don't like to guess. So what I like to start with people is with fitness and nutrition genetic testing. And what that does is that tells us exactly what your body needs more of, and maybe what it needs less of in terms of nutrients, in order to have your best physical health. And then with that information, we can set up meal plans. Some people like a lot of structure. Some people are like, tell me just exactly what foods I should eat. And other people are like, give me some boundaries and some guidelines, and let me play with it a little bit. And I'm happy to meet people where they are.
And that's exactly the same for me. So those are personalized, right, based on who you are and what you are and all of that. It's the same thing in your finances. Like, everybody's financial picture is different. Everybody's financial goals are different. So we assess that with the financial needs analysis, where we gather all of the information so we can get a clear picture of where you are. You can't decide where you're going until you know where you're starting. So we do the exact same thing. And some people want a budget, like a very tight, this is what I can spend, because they can't operate if they don't have that structure. And some people are like, just tell me how much money I gotta save and I got the rest. So exactly the same. It's so similar. That's why we decided to do this together.
Yeah. And really, it's just, in both cases, it's one step at a time. It's finding, like I said, I like the small hinges. So finding the first step, what is the best first step for you to take towards that goal. And when I talk about goals with people, I really like people to really think about what that looks like to them. And I'm sure that you can do this with finances too, because, you know, people, so the biggest thing when it comes to nutrition, people come to me and they say, I want to lose weight. It's just the most common thing that, you know, people come and that's their request and that's their goal. And to be very honest, losing 20 pounds isn't a big enough goal, to a deep enough why to make permanent change. Now, if you want to lose 20 pounds because you're, you know, you have diabetes and that 20 pounds is going to prolong your life, now that's going to motivate you. If losing that 20 pounds is going to allow you to be out on the field and coach your kid's soccer team, now that's a bigger why. But really that, you know, is, you know, saving an extra $500 impactful to somebody unless they really see exactly what they're going to do with that money?
Right, we do have to paint the picture, absolutely. You need to know why you're doing, because in the day-to-day of eating what you're supposed to eat and not having the donuts, or the day-to-day of following your budget and making sure that you're doing the things that you told yourself you were going to do, come down to, why am I doing this? Because on Thursday, when it's cold outside, it's been raining all day, and you just got off work, you really just want to go through the drive-thru. But you can't afford it in your budget, and you took something out because you're having a healthy meal, and all of that is for a purpose, whether it's for your kids' future or it's so you can retire someday. And I get them to even go deeper, like, what does retirement look like? Everybody loves the idea of not having to work someday, but it looks different for everybody. Some people want to travel the world. Some people just want to stay home and take care of their grandkids. So what is it for them?
And the same thing with health. So people, you know, people want to be healthy, right? But what does healthy mean? What does that feel like in your body? What does that look like in your day-to-day life? What does that mean to you? You know, what is healthy to me could very well be a completely different definition to someone else when it comes to their physical health.
Absolutely. And the same for their financial, absolutely. Because what I think is independence might look different than what Amanda thinks is independence financially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in both cases, you know, when it comes to independence, really what the ultimate goal, what all of us probably have in common, and all of what we really want in physical and financial health is that freedom. Is feeling a freedom not to have the stress and the worry, the fears that come around. I would say, I know I found some research that talked about the biggest thing that people have stress and anxiety about are their finances and their physical health. And then it all, you know, just keeps going round and round, because if you're stressed about your finances, it's going to negatively affect your physical health.
Well, and I found the same. If you are not in good physical health, it translates into bad money practices. You're more likely, if you're not in good health, to spend money on unhealthy things.
And the same, you know, it's true for fitness too. The people who invest time in their physical fitness actually make, now let me get the number right. There's actually research, but let me give you the exact number. So people who exercise frequently, and I don't know what the study defined as frequent, was correlated with 10% higher pay rate. So if you make 10% more in the year, you're probably going to do better off financially, right?
Absolutely.
You're going to hopefully have more to save.
Absolutely.
With Tisha. But 60% of Americans are anxious about their personal finances. And that's a lot. That's a lot of,
And those are the number
financial
two,
stress.
the 1 and 2 things that people, the beginning of the year, their resolutions are to lose weight and save more money, right? That's the number 2 things. And by the end of January, most people have given up. And part of that, I think, is because they don't have the professional support to be able to help them through that. Because all of this is overwhelming if you don't have Amanda walking you through what it all means. I could never figure out what my DNA stuff means if I didn't have Amanda to tell me what it means, because that's not my area of expertise.
yeah. And just having somebody else support you. So we're going to continue this conversation, and we're actually going to dig a little bit deeper into some specifics, into some goal setting, into kind of how to make your healthy habits last longer in a virtual workshop March the 9th. So look out for that. And we're happy to answer some questions, but this is our contact information if you want to contact us directly. Primerica.com, Tisha Brannon, peakpotentialpt.com, and my personal website, amandainspires.com. So do you have anything else you want to add, or we can answer any questions?
I don't. We can go straight to questions. Thank you so much for hosting us tonight.
Absolutely.
Any questions?
Do you have another-